Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do substitute trading. We're going to go over some examples and kind of show you guys how to look out for it for the future. This is probably one of the most effective methods in the game right now. We saw some really crazy profit on Bruno Fernandes over the weekend with it. For those of you guys that have been watching the channel, we called this one out quite a bit, a few times in the past week. And he did not disappoint. The card literally rose about 90k within a few hours of the day of buying, so it was really fun to use. And this is a method that I like to use almost every time a new card comes into the game, whether it's a promo, team of the week, whatever the case may be. It's a really effective method, and without further ado, we'll get into it. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys drop a thumbs up. Let's get on to Footbin. So we'll actually take a look at Ben Yedder in a sec, but what is the method, you guys might be wondering. So essentially what substitute trading is when a player gets a new card like Bruno Fernandes, he got the new headliner card. What tends to happen is we tend to see the substitutes, is what they're called. Basically his other versions actually start to drop down and kind of get panic sold, and this is because people are kind of I guess afraid to, kind of afraid to see what's going to happen. They think the card's going to drop down a lot. Maybe they want to sell and get the new card. Whatever the case may be, people are selling off this card. Now, this happened a big amount on Friday. It was predicted. We've been talking about it. And what actually happened on Friday was Bruno Fernandes was sitting at about 880k on PlayStation and about 800k on Xbox. And what happened to his price here at the 100k lightning rounds is the card actually dropped down to 834k on PlayStation and 760k on Xbox. And what happened after is people started to realize the headliner was way too expensive for them, or whatever the case may be, and they started buying back the card. And Bruno went back up to 920k on PlayStation. That's nearly a 90k rise, basically. And then he went back up to about 800k on Xbox. So about a 40k rise on Xbox, and then nearly a 90k rise on PlayStation for really easy profits. Now this is the average price. I'm sure you could have saw some cards getting, panic sold or whatever for even less at the time. Again, it's something you have to keep your eyes out for, but still really crazy fluctuation right there within the span of a few hours. And this is something that happens during every promo, every team of the week that kind of drops. We see this kind of panic selling on a card, and today you can see that rebound has come pretty nicely. Bruno's up to 920k on Xbox. He's up to 810 now, with a low supply, meaning that this card could go up more on Xbox still. So really crazy. The same thing happened with the 89 Inform and the 88 Inform. Now it wasn't as great, just because there's still better versions. The 89 did well, the 88 was okay. But the same thing happened for some of the other cards and headliners, like Ben Yedder, João Felix. We'll take a look at them in a minute here. But here's a look right now at the cards. So what happened to the first version is he was about 600k to start off, coming into the promo, and then the promo drops and he goes down to like 584, and people kind of realized that Bruno could have came in. There's some panic selling from the predictions and stuff like that. So what happened is, on Xbox he got as low as 520, and as soon as that rebound kind of comes in, Bruno goes to 640k for close to a 60k rise, 70k rise. So that's huge. And then on Xbox he went up to like 620 as well, 100k rise for a little bit, but he settled at about 580, and right now he is actually 620. So it ended up being a 100k rise on Xbox for Bruno, and again close to a pretty massive rise as well on PlayStation, close to about 40-50k. So at that range, obviously that's you're looking at 20-30k a card, and on Xbox obviously a little bit more, but still really nice rise for substitute. And that's really all that's to it. You need to buy into the panic. Usually the panic settles after the 100k lightning rounds, usually, so about 2:15 p.m. Eastern time, 7:15 UK time. That's when I tend to see cards actually hit their lowest and people start buying back. And this is, again, something that can be used for every single promo. We can take a look at, Ben Yedder. We can take a look at João Felix, who have other versions. But the same thing happened to their versions as well. Taking a look at Ben Yedder here, his wasn't as great because he is much lower priced. And not to mention, he is from Team of the Week 1, so there's not as much demand. There's obviously better cards out there, but Friday we saw a little bit of panic on his card. Coming into the promo, he was, about 290, 295, and he actually ended up dropping to about 280, and then he rebounded nicely back up to around 300k. Xbox, he did basically the same fluctuations, but again, another good example of a card that rose up. Now, not many people have that Ben Yedder because the supply is limited on him. You'd expect more fluctuation, but because he's from Team of the Week 1, the card moves a little bit different. But João Felix was a decent example as well. He obviously did not move crazy amount because he is lower priced, but he ended up fluctuating about 10-15k on that Friday, which is pretty crazy. To think, about he was 100k at one point both times. He gets panic sold down to about 94, 93k. I know there's a few people sniping him for 90ish, and then he rebounded back up to around 100k on Xbox and stuff like that. So a decent flip. Again, that's one for more just a couple K, whereas Bruno obviously we saw for a lot more. Now this works good with obviously the bigger cards. Fodder, this isn't the greatest move to do, but still it's a good shout. And like I said, this does work for Team of the Week. We kind of saw this with Rashford. It's gonna be kind of hard for me to show you guys, just because there's this was a few days ago, so I won't be able to look at the hourly graph. But we had this new Rashford come out, and what a lot of people, kind of forget about is that Rashford has two different positions in this game. So he's got the striker and the left mid. So the striker actually, kind of went down a little bit panic sold or whatever. He rebounded very nicely. As you can see here on PlayStation, he went from 930, 978. He dropped down to like 916, and he went back up to like 950. So a really good example of him kind of fluctuating. And this was, again, just due to him coming out for Team of the Week. Now, you have to keep in mind that sometimes for Team of the Week cards and stuff like that, the panic selling on the cards, they sometimes will move a little bit differently. And what I mean by that is that you'll see that some cards will, like a Team of the Week card, they might fluctuate a little bit longer. Like we saw that Friday is when Rashford started rising up. Rewards Day, Rashford started rising up. Whereas, when you see a new promo card, that card rose within hours. So it kind of is a situation, it changes from, depending on situation is what I'm trying to say. So you guys kind of have to use your own judgment on that. You can't be buying cards. You kind of need to know when the card's going to rise, when it's going to sell. And again, that's just follow basic market trends. Friday, Thursday, Saturday, you tend to see the market go up, and then on the other days, you tend to see it go down. So just keep that in consideration, when we're seeing stuff like that. Again, the left mid S actually saw a little bit of panic too, but this card will take a little bit longer to rise. This is more of a longer term substitution example because obviously there's no Europa League for a little bit, but he did get a left mid. This pushes his card down a little bit and gives us an opportunity to probably buy it a little bit cheaper of a price. Now, I know Rashford got, Team of the Week around here. So yeah, his Team of the Week came out. He goes down a little bit in price. On PlayStation, he rebounds like a slight amount, nothing crazy. But imagine this card will start to see a rebound once Europa League continues. So this is an example of, of substitute trading more on the long scale, as this is creating a better entry for us to get in. So there's obviously different examples and stuff like that. But whenever you see new cards come out into the game, it's always a good idea to kind of look at those substitutes and see what they're doing, kind of assess the situation, if it's a long-term, short-term, whatever the case may be, as they can provide really good opportunities. I'm going to show you guys kind of a longer-term situation for substitute trading, and this actually happened last year during Team of the Year, and I'd imagine we're going to see stuff similar like that happen during this Team of the Year. We'll just have to wait for it, but I love using the example of this 92 Kevin De Bruyne. I used it in the Team of the Year investment guide, as we talked a little bit about substitute trading then too, and I'm gonna have to show you guys this one because the rise on this one was crazy. So right here, we kind of knew who was going to get in Team of the Year, and right about here we started getting the teasers and stuff like that for Team of the Year on Monday. So what happened is Kevin De Bruyne, he started getting panic sold like crazy. New Team of the Year card coming, whatever the case may be. Low as 220 on Xbox, as low as 237 on PlayStation. He probably was a little bit lower that day. Again, this takes the average price of that day. So what we see here is Team of the Year drops. And here is the example of a longer term hold. This is going to be like a week hold for a card like this. But the substitute rebounds nearly 70k on Xbox and close to about 80k on PlayStation, eventually over 100k on both consoles. And this was just due to the fact that the Team of the Year was really expensive. The next best version was the 92, and people started buying back, trying to include De Bruyne in the team, plus coin injection and all that other good stuff. But here was a great example of substitute trading right here, on an easy call as someone who got in Team of the Year. And I'd imagine that, we'll see something similar this year coming with Team of the Year, if, whenever we get Team of the Year, that is, with it being delayed. But a really good example of, substitute trading. Before we wrap up the video, I just want to show you guys that you do have to be careful when you're selecting your cards. You got to make sure you're picking cards that are going to be meta, that people are really going to buy back after. Because Amavi was an example of a card who, he has an inform, a substitute card. Let's take a look at how this, this inform moved, because this is a card that's not going to be crazy, coming into the, the game. So you'd imagine, Amavi, he actually was up due to SBCs and stuff like that. But as you guys can see, Amavi's new version actually pushed his card down. Now, maybe Amavi's not the greatest example to use, because again, his inform was a little bit inflated. But let's just take an example of this guy right here, because he has a Team of the Week that was very, very rare. And his Team of the Week came out, I believe it was Team of the Week 3, so it's a very scarce supply, a really nice inform to use. Now, this is a card that didn't move right away. We saw this card up quite a bit, and his new headliner came out, and he actually dropped a decent amount in price, and he has not rebounded. Whether or not there's no demand for that and stuff like, whatever, it's a good example of a card that really didn't move. Now, I think this is actually a good longer term hold, because this guy is actually included in SBC solutions still. And him being, I think he's the only 83 Bundesliga inform right now in the game. So what will likely happen is eventually this guy will rise up, because again, his supply is slowly going to bleed out. And, with that, his price will obviously go back up to like 30k when he goes extinct or whatever. But still, a very good example of an entry that we could get in. And another example of, sometimes you have to assess which cards will rise right away, whereas, which cards won't. And again, usually the more meta cards will be the ones that rise up more. If we are to, say, get a headliner, whatever, let's just say, for example, we get a headliner Son next week, because I think we will get a Tottenham player. Whether it's Harry Kane or Son, we'll have to wait and see. Well, let's just say we do get a Son. And that card would be a really, really meta card. A lot of people love Son, Sonaldo, whatever. So his other version is his inform. It's the 88 left mid. This card is currently sitting at 278k, 300k, which isn't great. There have been better versions of him in the past, but let's just say, Son does get that inform, or he gets a headliner, and he gets, whatever it will be, an 89 headliner, right? Yeah, so he gets an 89 headliner. What you're likely going to see is a little bit of panic on this card. But Son is a really, really in-demand player. He's a card that a lot of people enjoy using and whatever. So what's going to happen is he'll start to, this inform will end up rebounding, quite nicely. And plus there'll be investors that jump in too on it, which will help artificially inflate that price too. So again, that's a good example, as a meta player who could, do that. Not saying Son will, there could be anybody that gets a headliner, and with the EA, we'll never know. But that is essentially all you need to know for substitute trading. It's essentially looking at those other versions, assessing, is it a short-term, long-term, meta, not meta, what's what's the scenario going to be, then you pick him up and you kind of go with the plan. Obviously Bruno, very high in demand, very meta, so we were able to flip him, very quickly, whereas other cards like, the center back right here, this could be a longer term hold, and whatever the case may be. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys drop a thumbs up. If you guys did make it to the end, and you guys, I guess I'm going to kind of advertise here, but we do have channel membership. Essentially what you guys can do is you can support the channel, and you guys can kind of get, a little bit of a boost, bonus, whatever, for doing it. You guys can get a nice little badge next to your name in the comments, as well as you guys can get access to some private community tab posts, with the little investment sniping filters or whatever. And then if you get the plus version, you guys also get access to DM me privately for questions and stuff like that. But again, it's not required or needed at all, so don't feel like you need to do that. Again, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys are new, subscribe. If you have any questions, drop them down below, and until next time, guys,